Now, for those travel lovers, a new low-fare airline, flyafrica.com, seeks to start a revolution in the aviation space by scrapping fuel surcharges. The airline's chief executive, Adrian Hamilton-Manns, joins us now in studio for more. Adrian, thanks so much for joining us. Just logging onto your website today, I thought I'd select from Johannesburg to Cape Town, but that wasn't allowed, and only Joburg to Vic Falls. Tell us why.
At the moment, we're doing Johannesburg, Victoria Falls. We are a Zimbabwean-based airline. We have a business model that actually has multiple airlines underneath the flyafrica.com umbrella. So the first airline we're rolling out is actually in Zimbabwe, and then we'll be rolling out other airlines through Africa, so we can actually provide to the African traveller a consistent product and a consistent service across the continent. Now, South Africa is not one of the first four that rolls out. We might do it later on.
Adrian, Lindsay Williams in Cape Town. I regularly travel to Johannesburg and back to Cape Town. I don't think there's a genuine low-cost airline in this country, so what I do is go for service. I won't tell you which one I go for, but with the recent machinations in the fuel market, and when I say fuel, I'm basing this on crude oil, going from 108, 109 up to 115, back now down to 111. How do you manage that? Do you hedge your position on the international energy markets, or would you just leave it to chance?
No. As an airline, we are an airline. We know how to fly passengers safely from point A to point B. I'm not a fund manager. I don't do hedging. So we take the impact of fuel hedging into the fuel cost into our prices, but we don't do a fuel surcharge.
It's interesting to note there that the flight costs 99 Rand. Now, surely there must be some kind of terms and conditions attached to this.
Yes, there is. Give us 99 Rand and fly to Victoria Falls. It's a pretty simple terms and conditions.
But there are taxes involved as well.
There are, but taxes are actually very low. One of the misnomers in Africa is that taxes are high, and it's something that really does irritate us. Taxes are cheaper than flying out of Singapore, out of Australia. Taxes in South Africa and Africa in general are much lower than Asia, Australasia, or anywhere else, and they've got airlines that fly people around for $50, and they don't have that in Africa.
Adrian, when you fly from Joburg to Cape Town, what is the tariff going to be? Just estimate it.
I would start at 50 Rand.
What? Lindsay, we'll probably see you a lot more often then. Listen, I'm not too sure if you're excited.
The other way around, actually, Gugu.
Well, my question really gets back to the economics of it all. You know, you can put passengers on planes at any price you like, but you've got to actually get them airborne, and you've got to get them to land, you've got to do everything safely, you've got to have maintenance programs, and then you've generally got to have new aircraft. So I don't want to know your entire business model, but I would just like to know, because we have, as you know, had a couple of enterprises that have tried, battled, had kind of mishaps and some difficulties, and then unfortunately we didn't have them anymore. So how do you avoid all of that in terms of the maintenance, the procurement, the fuel, all of that?
Well, there are some things which are basically common across all ranks. Aircraft burn the same amount of fuel no matter which paint scheme they're in. It costs the same amount to maintain them no matter which paint scheme they're in. The thing that differentiates it from that point onwards is how you deal with the rest of your cost base, how you outsource, how you manage your human capital, how you manage all your other costs, including airport landing fees and other charges. Now, going into Africa, and to come back to it, which is where we're operating at this stage, you know, the cost of landing, the cost of actually transacting is no more expensive than being in Asia or Australia. I've both operated and started airlines in before. But the difference is the fares are 500 and 600% higher than in those countries. And it's simply because, in a way, there's cross-subsidization that's happening where, you know, the short-haul routes into Africa are subsidizing long-haul routes into other parts of the world.
And now I understand that cross-subsidy side of it, but just also help me here. If you're going to fly this, and you will obviously get many takers, including me, as soon as I can, I will be on your website. But the point I want to make is you're going to fly out of Vic Falls, presumably first flight of the day will be into Johannesburg, and then the next flight will be that one turning around after cleaning and refueling. How many flights a day are you going to be doing?
Well, we'll be doing between 6 and 8 flights a day. But I mean, we're turning the planes around in 30 minutes. Again, you know, ways to save costs. The cabin crew have to clean the plane. We don't put other in there. But it's all about making sure you have got a very, very low cost base to make this work, which is what we have.
How many aircraft do you have there?
We've purchased 5 aircraft, so that's our initial batch which comes in, and then once we get growth and we get market acceptance, and if we do need to get market acceptance and trust, then we'll go and purchase more.
Adrian, the final question for me is, you mentioned that it doesn't matter what the airline is, what livery the plane is painted in, they all burn the same amount. Not quite true, because the 737-800, the stretched version of the 737, burns, I think, 15 or 16% less fuel than the older models. And there are certain airlines in this country that have got the older models and certain ones that have got the new models. What have you got? We
have the 737-500. Which is actually the smaller version of all of them. So the 800 holds 180 seats. We actually have 120 in our aircraft with a business class configuration and economy. As far as fuel burn, yes, I accept that if you have a much larger aircraft, you're burning, it's not 15%, you're burning a percentage less. The 800 burns about 1.8 tonnes of fuel per hour, we burn 2.2.
There you go, Lindsay showing off about his knowledge of aircraft, say. But maybe if you're looking for a pilot, you know where to go. I wonder if we'll take you up on that offer. But that was flyafrica.com's Chief Executive Adrian Hamilton-Manns.